Okay, Kurt, thank you. Well, officials have identified the man shot and killed by police Tuesday in El Cajon, California.
Righty, well, yeah, that was a great story. Touched your heart, didn't
Yes,
it?
it did.
Well, Adele's newest album officially makes it to diamond status.
Yes, it does, Shay. The Recording Industry Association of America reports the pop star's third album, 25, sold more than 10 million copies as of last Tuesday. That's just the U.S. numbers alone. Well, it is time for Bear's wake-up call.
That's right. That's what that swoosh means. Good morning, Bear.
Hey, good morning. You know what? I really admire you folks for doing such a great job with news, because I'm in the entertainment side of this whole TV thing. Y'all handle real serious news, but I would really welcome any story if I did news about Russia, just so I could say the word Putin on TV. I just like it.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, you know, I remember
I'll never think of it the same way again.
Well, back in the days when President Bush was in office, they used to always start their stories if there was a tandem going, they'd say, you know, Putin Bush. And I used to think, man, that'd be like an eighth wonder of the world, wouldn't it? People pay money to see a Putin Bush, wouldn't they?
Oh, my heavens, Bear.
I didn't know what to do with
me
that
either,
one this
me either.
morning. What else
What
do
was
you
that
have?
first headline?
Moving
Yes.
right along.
I'll just leave that sitting right out there.
I'll never think of Putin the same way again. Vladimir, that is. Yes.
Sharon Osbourne is in the news. She says she's in a good
What is she
place.
doing?
After kicking Ozzy to the curb for cheating about 5 months ago. She's in a good place now. Not only does she not dislike her husband anymore, she says she adores him. She says, I'm trying to learn. I try not to let things faze me. You realize you get older and all these things aren't really that important. So she finds herself in a good place now.
Good, good.
Well, Shay had a good question, Bear. Do we know who he was cheating with? I know that's some gossip.
That's
Do we
not
know
really
who it
my
is?
question. I said,
Yeah.
who would?
Oh, who would?
That's what I said.
That's a fair question, too.
I'd pay for an interview with that woman, wouldn't you?
Ooh. Okay, what else you got?
Okay, Tim Tebow, isn't this amazing? He decides to try baseball. The Mets signed him to like one of the minor league teams, and yesterday his first at bat, first pitch, boom, he went yard. How about that? I mean, that really is cool. I always
cool.
remember his first professional baseball hit was a home run.
That's all right. That's awesome. So he's really a multi-talented guy.
He really is. And he's received way too much grief just because of his belief in the Lord. I mean,
I applaud him. I mean, he's, you know, since day one.
Yes.
He's doing what you do.
And Bear, I wasn't trying to be funny, but this morning, Jolynn, our producer, of course, you know her, we were walking out of the newsroom, and there was something on TV about Tebow hitting that home run. And I accidentally said, oh, Tebow made a touchdown. I mean, a home run. And, of course, everyone laughed at me. But, you know, I said, I guess.
That was a very honest slip-up. It really was.
So.
Because,
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, take a look at this. Now, an early Halloween story for you this morning.
Now, you won't find this Halloween window decoration in Home Depot's Canadian stores as planned. Now, the company actually pulled the almost $30 item from stores after someone complained. You're laughing, but it creeps me out. Somebody complained about it being voyeurism, which is a crime. Now, the scary Peeper Creeper is made to mount on windows and features a hooded man peering through a window. I'd sock him in the nose. Anyway.
It's still available in Home Depot's U.S. stores and online. I'm laughing because I can't imagine paying $30
Me either. I wouldn't pay $5 for that.
That's why. Yes.
Anyway, that's our opinion. Well, it was a moment this couple will never forget.
A surprise uninvited guest not only showed up for their nuptials, he photobombed them. More on this when we come back.
But first, here's a
morning. News 3's Greg Loyd joining us live from inside the Feeding the Valley warehouse with the inside scoop. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Christina. You know, Feeding the Valley has been nourishing the stomachs and souls of people in our area since 1983. And it takes a tremendous dedication not only from the staff that works here, but also from volunteers. We also want to give you some statistics to put things in perspective. Stewart County here in Georgia ranks among the 2 poorest counties in the state. On a nationwide level, it's among the top 5. With statistics like these, it's very easy to see that it takes a commitment from us all to continue feeding the valley. And joining me here live now at the Feeding the Valley warehouse is the president and CEO, Mr. Frank Shepard. Mr. Shepard, we want to say thank you for getting up so very early and joining us this morning.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate having you here.
Well, we're honored to be here. And Mr. Shepard, one of the first things I wanted to ask you is earlier we talked about how much food is here, but it goes away so quickly. Tell us how that happens.
Okay. It does. The warehouse holds about 700,000 pounds of food at any one time, but we're now distributing 650,000 pounds every month, so it really only is about 1 month's supply. So it's a very busy place here with our trucks constantly on the road to our food donors, picking up food donations and bringing them in so we can make them available for our partner agencies to purchase the food and also to use the food to feed children through our children's programs.
Mr. Shepard, real quickly here, the last question. What can people do if they want to volunteer and get involved and help?
Well, we appreciate volunteers. Volunteers donate about 18,000 hours to us annually. That's the equivalent of 8 full-time employees. So then call our main number at 561-4755, extension 2, and we'll get them on the volunteer schedule. So we appreciate the opportunity to have them here and help us out.
We appreciate you being here with us this morning, Mr. Shepard. And we want to remind all of you that today, beginning at 11:30 at the Bradley Park Drive Publix, we do have a food drive going on. We hope that you'll come out and join our Bob Jeswal, who will be there live at noon, 5 and 6. Please bring out your food donations. For now, live in Columbus, Greg Loyd, WRBL News 3.
Our News 3's Greg Loyd, live with the latest. Hi, Greg.
Mercer, what a wonderful day to be here at the National Infantry Museum here in Columbus, and #1. We are #1. And I'm joined here by Cindy Servin, who is the Director of Communications for the National Infantry Museum Foundation. And Cindy, we are celebrating being #1. And tell everyone, when we say #1, it is a big honor.
It absolutely is. USA Today had a Reader's Choice Awards competition for Best Free Museum. 20 world-class museums across the country were nominated for it. We won.
And Cindy, I also want to tell you all, part of the celebration today, I've got to say, has been about celebrating #1, but there has been no arrogance about it. You all have been so mindful to thank the community and to remember what it's really all about here at the Infantry Museum.
The community is why we're #1. We've had community support since this idea first started percolating 2 decades ago. And when it came time to vote for the Best Free Museum, we asked the community to vote, and they came out in full force to do so. We couldn't be happier about it. I think that one of the reasons it's so important to the community is that this museum means a lot to them.
Cindy, thank you for being here with us today, and thank you all for voting, and come out and see the museum. On your side, live in Columbus, Greg Loyd, WRBL News 3. Mercer?
All right, thanks a lot, Greg, and thanks to...
There's no doubt about it. West Point Lake has definitely seen its deeper days. Where I'm sitting right now is where the water level can come up to when the lake is at its fullest. However, a shortage of water along the Chattahoochee River Basin has meant a lower water table for rivers and lakes throughout the state. Mr. Jones tells me this is the second trailer stolen from his property in 2 years. He's coming public because he wants to raise awareness of the problem and catch those responsible. He says if the right person comes forward with information that leads him to those responsible and to the trailer, he's willing to consider raising this reward money. Here in this Lone Oak section of Meriwether County, residents say that they feel awful about what happened, but don't feel any less safe in their neighborhood. And meanwhile, investigators say they believe this attack was targeted.
Greg Loyd in the studio live with how the Army Corps of Engineers suggests we navigate these shallow waters. Greg.
Yes, Christina, this is a common sight right now along West Point Lake. But the first thing our viewers need to know is that the lower water levels will not mean any sort of disruption to the normal fun at West Point Lake this weekend. However, boat owners who have their vessels docked along the lake are getting more concerned as the water continues to lower. And this morning, if you have a boat or if you plan to swim in West Point Lake this weekend, the Army Corps of Engineers has some information for you. You should see a lot less of this red clay. The water line at West Point Lake is nearly 3.5 feet below where it would normally be under ideal conditions. There's no doubt about it. West Point Lake has definitely seen its deeper days. Where I'm sitting right now is where the water level can come up to when the lake is at its fullest. However, a shortage of water along the Chattahoochee River Basin has meant a lower water table for rivers and lakes throughout the state. Federal law strictly mandates the amount of water the Corps of Engineers can allow to be stored and released into West Point Lake. That's in accordance with the Endangered Species Acts. That's why they say they are unable to open the dam and add more water. However, they do say they understand and empathize with boat owners who dock their vessels along the edge of West Point.
I recommend if you have 2 feet or less of water on the outer edge of your dock, just put your boat on the trailer, and that way you won't have to worry about your boat getting grounded.
To protect boaters, low areas are now being marked. One such area is the sandbar that formed between the Chattahoochee Bridge and Ringer Park on the west side of the Chattahoochee River. New signs will now point the way for boaters this weekend.
They're going to see just single red and white vertically striped buoys, and they just need to stay as close to those buoys as possible, and that will guarantee them the deeper channel to navigate.
Swimming is allowed in the lake, but rangers say it's best to stay close to the shore and in designated swimming areas where the depths average about 3 feet. Swimmers who have attempted to reach buoys beyond those designated areas have sometimes met a tragic end.
In fact, we've actually had a few people drown over the past years, people trying to do that, swim out or swim back, and just get tired. So we encourage people to stay close to the shore.
Don't be deceived and don't go out. Back to the water retention problem. So it's obviously very low. You can see that clay, it's drastically low. Why doesn't the Army Corps of Engineers open up the dam so that more water can flow through?
Well, that's a very good question, Christina, and it's a question that a lot of people have in the Troup County area. And I'm told by the Corps of Engineers that it's very complicated, but basically it has to do with endangered species and animals. And they say that they're responsible for following a lot of federal codes and laws that they have to abide by. And they say that it's not just as simple as opening the dam up, that they are really held to these laws.
Okay, to protect the wildlife.
Yes.
Makes sense, even though it's a man-made lake, right? Kurt was just mentioning that?
Yes, a man-made lake that opened in 1975.
So wildlife has made its way in there, so
Yes,
they have
it has.
to protect it. Well, thanks.
WRBL's Greg Loyd explains why this business owner is willing to wheel and deal for justice.
Back up to it and then pull up in here and back out into the road.
Donald Jones is a businessman who means business. He's laying his cards and his money on the table. Maybe you've seen his sign at the corner of Miller and Warm Springs.
We're offering a $1,000 reward for anybody that may have seen something that can lead to the arrest of this person. But there had to be more than one person to steal this trailer, and if the partner in crime will turn in the ringleader, we'll give him $5,000.
At 2:30 Monday morning, his cameras caught the theft of his 30-foot auto trailer, one that looks much like this one. The theft was such a complicated heist, he's certain it took at least 2 people. He's willing to reward and forgive any accomplices who come forward.
If the partner in crime comes to help me, I will help him. I have no reason to try to press charges on the person that would help me.
Mr. Jones tells me this is the second trailer stolen from his property in 2 years. He's coming public because he wants to raise awareness of the problem and catch those responsible. He says if the right person comes forward with information that leads him to those responsible and to the trailer, he's willing to consider raising this reward money. An increase in reward money he's banking will pay off with the return of his trailer. On your side in Columbus, Greg Loyd, WRBL News 3.
Greg Loyd spent the afternoon in Meriwether County. He joins us now here in the studio with more details. Greg?
Yes, Phil and Teresa, as Dorothy Dow here slept in her bed Thursday night, criminals stormed her house, beat her, and set her on fire. With 2 broken arms, this courageous lady extinguished herself and crawled to the phone to call 911. As neighbors react this evening, the sheriff is assuring the community this was not random violence.
All this violence going on, it needs to stop. It's not necessary, you know.
Bobby Terry has lived on Forest Road for only a few months. The brutal attack on Ms. Dot Dow has made her anxious, but not to the point of wanting to move.
Just not being a new resident here is very scary. But no matter where you move, it's going to be something going on anyway.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all you can do is just keep your eyes open and, like we do, stay armed.
Just down the road, another neighbor who asked we not show her face or use her name lives close to the crime scene. The night of the attack, her dog kept barking. Since the attack on the Dow home, her household remains on heightened alert.
I sleep with a gun right beside me, and my husband sleeps with one beside him, so we're both on alert, and we just don't take anything lightly.
Here in this Lone Oak section of Meriwether County, residents say that they feel awful about what happened, but don't feel any less safe in their neighborhood. And meanwhile, investigators say they believe this attack was targeted.
This particular location was a target by those involved. The perpetrators that are involved with this incident know a relative that lived in the home, and we believe that relative was the target.
Right now, the sheriff cannot be more specific. However, he feels confident closure, at least where the hunt for the attackers are concerned, will soon come.
Where we are right now in our investigation, I feel very confident that arrests will be made soon.
I spoke with Sheriff Smith just a little while ago, and tonight he tells me that his department continues to work hard on this case. I also spoke with Mrs. Dow's son, who tells me that he and his family are optimistic she will survive. However, the next few days will be critical in her healing process. The hope is she will fight off any infection. Teresa?